Voilà.
Can you stop screen share, Helen?
Ah, these are the people that are watching.
Yeah.
India. India. Okay, Hillary.
Cheer up, Henry. It's not that bad.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. So we just.
Ah,
All right. So, um, all right. So if everybody can hear me, I want to welcome everybody. Just some house rules. If the ones that are not talking could just mute themselves. And also, please remember that if your camera is on, that your background is clear, because we don't want unfortunate incidents that goes live on Facebook, as with previous ones. All right, so if everybody could just mute themselves. All right, my name is Michelle from Events Link Africa, and together with my partners, which I'll introduce to you just now, we created this platform called InLink. It was really to introduce Namibian products to the rest of the world. And first of all, to our own team, but we thought, you know what, let's share the love and introduce this product to everybody else. And we had some amazing people online, and we came to this where we got the horse riding, and yeah. So I would like to. It's an amazing product. So and a good platform to be in. So I want to welcome you guys to this evening. I want to welcome, first of all, Her Excellency Madam Linda Scott, which is Namibian High Commissioner to the UK and Ireland. I just want to see on the participants who is all in. Then I'd like to welcome and thank you very much to my colleagues, Marilee Sarfontein, Sophia Links from Namibia, Joseph Kafunda, Chris Koch in Cape Town, and then, of course, Helen and Andrew from Namibia Horse Safaris. And then, of course, I want to welcome my co-host, Janine and James from Ride Zimbabwe. So welcome to everybody. Can everybody hear me clearly? Everybody's really quiet.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I had the pleasure of meeting this amazing person, and we had a chat on before this show started. Father of two, amazing guy, amazing photographer, um, a writer, and then also the photographer to the Queen, equine photographer to the Queen. So I'd like to say a very big welcome to Henry Dallal. So welcome, Henry. We'd love to hear more about you and have a look at your photos this evening.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
All right. So Henry, you're here in the UK. So tell us a little bit more about, just a little bit of background about yourself, how you came into the horse riding and the photography.
Well, it's all my parents' fault, really.
Yeah.
My mother took me riding when I was 9, and my father gave me a camera when I was 9. And both my parents taught me, shared the love of travel with me. And that's exactly the story right now. Carried on.
That is fantastic. I believe your mother is also with us this evening. Loris Dallal is Madam Loris. Welcome this evening, and thank you very much for supporting your son this evening.
Hi, Mom.
All right, listen. First of all, I'm going to chat to Janine St. James before we introduce your photography to everybody. James and Janine Varden from Ride Zimbabwe. You guys introduced us to the wonders of Henry Dallal and his equine photography. Henry would have been riding with you right now if it wasn't for the current situation. And hopefully it's only been postponed. Considering Henry's ability to experiment with photography, Janine, because there's always so much need for good equine photography. This must have been a huge blow for you.
Yeah, Michelle, well, every safari that doesn't happen, of course, is a big blow.
Yeah.
But of course, when you have someone of Henry's caliber, it's a particularly big blow. And yeah, Henry's equine photography and wildlife photography does seem to manage to capture some essence that we don't have normally or see a lot of.
Okay. Helen, could you kindly share the presentation with us so we can have a look at it? Janine, you guys recently did some local rides in Zimbabwe. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, as you know, there hasn't much been going on in the tourism world lately,
Yeah.
or anywhere for tourism around the world. So yeah, we've been in our little lockdown, and we live on a dairy farm outside of Bulawayo. So our horses have been seeing, dairy cows and donkeys, and they're used to seeing elephants and buffalo. So 7 months off work or off safari, we were sort of wondering how they're going to get on, but very happy to say that they just took it like the pros they are, and had a look at a buffalo and just went on with business. So we were happy about that.
How many people did you take on this tour?
The last trip we had 5 Zimbabwean riders. So we had one eventer, Nigel Philp, who's a 3-day eventer, and then we had Sophia. She's a junior Zimbabwean show jumper, and some of their family members. So
but these photos are fantastic. This is really insane.
Yeah, this was from this trip with James, the big herd.
Good. Yeah, nice big herd of buffalo there that we rode up on, and fortunately the horses had good conditioning to dairy cows, so they weren't worried about the buffalo, of course. There was a lot of giraffe. We've got some elephants. Good wildlife there at the moment. Yeah, being dry season. Yes.
Okay. All right. Just tell me, can we move on to the next slide? Because I really want to talk about your social responsibility project. Tell us a little bit more about this. This is, actually, I must tell everybody, we had the pleasure of interviewing James and Janine before, and so I have had privy to these slides, but it is such an amazing story. So please do tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, this is an incredible success story about conservation and rural people that are living on the edge of wildlife areas. So basically, people have to, that are living in these peripheral areas close to wildlife, they need to feel there's a value for wildlife. Otherwise, it doesn't, without communities, there's no conservation, there's no wildlife. So they have to feel part of it. So this is on the edge of Matobo National Park. There's a lot of rhinos there, but so these a lot of history and big, amazing granite outcrops. But the main thing about this is these people, they're reviving a old tradition of painting the homesteads with natural clay paint. So all of the painting that you see here is being done by just finding a natural clay paint there. And then there's a competition, which is at the end of August. And there's 800 houses that have been, or villages that have been nominated this year. And they'll be judged on their
authenticity of their painting, their natural painting.
Of their painting. Okay. So this one here with the unicorn is apparently the unicorn, one of our grey horses, and me in the dress.
Wow.
On the hut.
This is fantastic. James, I think you had an interesting question there for Henry.
Yeah, so Henry, we're just wondering, like, with your amazing photography and everything, and is it the travel that inspires your photography, or the photography that inspires your lust to travel? Wondering which one sort of came first for you.
That's a good question. Actually, it's the travel and experiencing life. The photography to me I just do it. And if I see a good light, good color, good something, I get inspired and I take a picture. Even if I don't have a camera, I try to take a picture. So I guess it's
Obviously, both go
and travel.
hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did ask when I spoke to Henry the first time, and I said, when you look at the horses, where does this come from? What angle are you looking at, and just to get to know more. And he looked at me and he says, Michelle, it comes from the heart, which is amazing. So Henry, tell us a little bit about this amazing pictures in Oman.
Well, I got invited and to be commissioned to go to Oman and create a photograph and create a book on the Royal Cavalry. They have about 1,000, at the time, 1,300 horses, which for me was amazing, very inspiring. Wow. And that was after I'd done the book on the Household Cavalry and then the Indian Cavalry. And of course, when you're in a new country, I don't want to stay put. I like to visit the country, experience the country. And what better way to go under the skin of a country than to have a purpose through photography for me. So that's how it came by. It was very inspiring.
That is amazing. Sorry, you had a question, James?
Just about to say, that's an amazing photo. It looks like the guys are galloping on a mirror. That previous photo, incredible, hey?
Yeah. Can we still see the screen?
And they didn't run into me.
Yeah, that's good. Luckily not.
Helen, are you still sharing the screen? I'm unable to see the screen. Okay, there we go. All right. This is an amazing picture. The horses in the water. Is this also in Oman?
Yeah, this is also in Oman. I mean, every picture has a big story, but
yeah. Tell us of the data. And can you tell us a little bit more about the pictures, because you're a great storyteller.
Well, that particular picture, perhaps if we can go back to it, was I kind of imagined it and I wanted to make it happen, and I told the commander, the boss, the general, I said, I like to get these pictures, these horses to run alongside the beach. And he said, impossible, no way. I then moseyed around a little bit and found somebody kind of, a lieutenant or somebody lower down, very low down, who looked after the stables. Yeah, no problem. So we tried it, and we took 20 horses around 2 kilometers down on the beach, and we let them go. And it was real challenging of letting the horses go, because you don't want them, it's not a race like a starting gate, yet you want a little bit of a mess, but you don't want too much of a mess because horses will run over their riders or their keepers. And then you want everyone to let go of the horse at the same time. So all of this was taking place, and we did it, but you only have the first few seconds or couple of minutes when all the horses are together and there's this explosion of water and spray. After a while, it kind of calms down and the horses are on their way. So you don't have much time. Well, we did it. Unfortunately, the lighting was wrong, and I desperate to want to do it again. Next morning, I meet the general in his office, and he tells me, yeah, I heard you did the picture I said you can't do. I said, yeah, but I'm not happy with it. He said, well, go tonight. I'll come with you with my camera, and we'll do it again. So I felt encouraged, overconfident, and instead of 2 kilometers away, we went 3 kilometers away. And he's with me in his 4x4 along the sand, and in his vehicle. We get everything set up, and we say, right, carry on, let go of the horses. They let go of the horses, but the horses didn't go anywhere. Instead, they turned around the back way, and they started galloping towards the little town. Oh my God! These are His Majesty.
Court-martialed.
what am I going to do? I'm going to get in trouble. I just died. Fortunately, the tide was up, and there was a tide breaker there. So the horses just hung around, and eventually we caught them. So I learned the lesson again, trial and error. The next time we did it, we had somebody on horseback starting galloping off, and then they released the horses, and then the rest of the horses took off after the same lead horse. So that's how it, that's the story.
Oh, that's amazing. And this
Yeah.
photograph?
And together.
You're an amazing storyteller. Tell us about this picture.
Well, I was in a stable, mud stable, and so I just took it by chance. And it just, the beauty of this is the horse's neck and the way it's posed. There's nothing special about it, just the composition and the lighting. I didn't plan it. I just saw it.
Yeah.
Oh, it actually reminds me of a unicorn. It must just. Oh, this is taken in Pakistan. You have really traveled, riding through the Hindu Kush mountains. Oh, and look, and these ladies are crossing the river. This is truly incredible. Tell us about this.
Well, I was very lucky to be invited by some very good friends who I believe are actually watching this, but they have this hobby of retracing the footsteps of somebody who played a role in British history somewhere in the world. And this was actually just before 9/11 in the Hindu Kush Mountains. And it was a 3-week trip on horseback, which just was out of this world. And we went across the Shandur Pass, which is the highest polo ground in the world, but it's polo the original way, where, you know, it's not like playing at guards, but it's playing in you know, I think there are 8 to a team, very few rules, and there's always a drum beating. It's pretty fun.
Wow. So you had background as well. So
Yes.
to set the mode, set the tone. It's stunning. Oh, Henry, I must ask you about, I don't want to name drop, but the photo on the top right-hand corner, it's the photo of a famous person. So do you want to tell us who that is?
Yeah, it's on the Big Island in Hawaii. And I was just taken to this beautiful ranch. We were trying to photograph the original first quote unquote cowboys that looked after the cattle in Hawaii. After Hawaii, they came to America. But this horse belongs to Oprah Winfrey,
Wow.
the TV presenter.
Okay, so tell us, how on earth did you get that picture? Was it before the horse belonged to her, or was it, you know, after she's...
No, I knew it was hers, but
Okay.
he just started itching his
Yeah.
self, and I thought, oh, that's a great picture, great angle. So
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this amazing picture at the
Amazing.
bottom, yeah, what is, you know, even the horse has got the beautiful beads around it. She's styled it a bit. Tell us about that.
Traditional Omani costume with a traditional Omani saddle, and they part of the regiment they train their horses to lie down, which they used to do during war, I guess, in the old days. And so it's very ceremonial, very a lot of pageantry in it.
That is amazing. And the top photo, oh, yeah, sorry, we've already moved on. And the top photo?
That again is one of the offshoots of that image of getting
The same one. Amazing, amazing photography.
Thank you.
This looks very interesting. Are we still in Romania?
No, this is Rajasthan.
Okay.
Our very first trip to India to do a horse safari by a friend. And that's my partner in the middle. And yeah, we were both smitten by India. And lo and behold, it resulted in many more trips and travel across India, which was wonderful. And it resulted in a book called Horse Warriors.
Sure. This is really amazing, you know. See, this is why we've got the show, you know, so we all can see different parts of the world where to ride. Of course, we all want to bring you to Africa and Namibia, that's the ultimate aim. But I mean, we're experiencing, people can see all these amazing places. We're just opening up the world to us through your eyes and your lenses. So I think this is amazing. I mean, Inner Mongolia and China, I mean, I would never have even thought to have gone there. And these are stunning pictures. Tell us about your experience here.
Well, it's the grasslands near the border of Mongolia, but this part is Inner Mongolia, and they call it. There's over 1 million horses there, in that area, and very arid, very green, very few people who live there. And I was invited to go there and do a bit of photography, which was absolutely unique. I loved it, absolutely loved it. They're trying to create an industry for mare's milk, which used to be a prized drink, mare's milk. And going back thousands of years to the days of Cyrus the Great, Genghis Khan, it was believed to be a very powerful source of nutrition, drinking mare's milk. So
Wow.
I had mare's milk beer.
Wow, make beer from milk. That's interesting. I
Yeah,
thought you
interesting.
hops and barley. Well, that is really interesting and strange, I must admit.
Yeah.
So this is a new thing that they're exploring.
Well, they're trying to bring back the industry, and I think they hired a Belgian company to make it into a canned beverage. They're progressing, but all this was before this pandemic. I don't know what's happening now.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll start up again shortly after the borders are open. And yeah, we've got some action photography. You know what? I almost even didn't recognize your see you blend in so well, and then I realized no hands. Look, mommy, no hands.
Well, the horse knows where he's going. He's part of the parade, so I feel comfortable.
Yes, this is insane photos. So tell us about this.
This was doing part of the book. That's the 61st Cavalry in Jaipur, and again, all these pictures I'm using films. So you've got 36 pictures to take. That's it. So you have to really compose every image, not like the modern day digital era. But yeah, it's when you're doing a book on something, you want to record as much as possible.
Sure. Is this where you took all these action photos?
Yeah, this was again all part of the same few years of imagery.
How close do you get to these horses? I mean, this looks like dangerously so.
Actually, yeah, it is dangerous. I mean, it's not dangerous if you're just standing still and you've got horses coming at you. But then after you're hit, I'm hidden, false sense of security, perhaps hiding behind a camera, which is all right, except when I wanted two rows of them attacking to me. The first row is the first picture you saw, but it was the second row that you had the dust already created.
Yes.
You see, the one on the bottom right is not that spectacular, but it's the second one where they're coming at you, but there's already dust in the air. So after we took this, and I had a friend with me there, she said, Henry, I mean, the horse doesn't quite see you because there is a lot of dust. And all it takes is for one horse to, as they're galloping, butt over another horse, and they're coming at you as you can see, with a sword right at you. So I felt maybe it's not such a good idea anymore with the sword.
Yeah, because I mean, there was one of the previous ones, that one there at the bottom right corner. I mean, it looks like you're literally lying underneath the horse. I mean, definitely a false sense of security there, but well done. It's impressive. And we're getting some comments here from the chat room. Everyone is saying what amazing photos these are, and we've got quite a few photographers. So congratulations on taking these. I can just imagine the sound of the hooves and the dust. The atmosphere must be insane.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. All right, this sounds really scary. Suicide race. Tell us about this race and your involvement there.
I was flying to Seattle to do a slideshow. I was invited, and on the way, about half an hour before we landed in the airport, I'm reading the airline magazine that talked about this thing called the suicide race, which takes place the first weekend in August every year on the Colvile Indian Reservation. And what they have is, what it is as a rite of passage, the youth have to go through, they do this race. And the race is comprised of riding, literally taking off for about 100 yards and then literally flying down a 45-degree slope for 300 yards and into a river. And then they have to cross through the river, along the, inside the river, and then come to the finish line. Very dangerous, and it's a rite of passage. So I was desperate to see this. And as soon as I landed, in those days, well, mobile phones weren't that prevalent. I got a change of a quarter and started making phone calls even before I cleared the immigrations to try to connect. And I connected with the head of this group. And I said, look, I'd really like to come and see this. He said, sure, come the day after tomorrow. And meanwhile, I have a slideshow. So I called my host. I said, look, I'm coming, I'm doing my show, but I've got to leave immediately. And so that's what happened. When I went there, I just found it absolutely fascinating and scary, you know, just like the movies, how they do it. And I then asked, well, where do you get your horses from? And they said, well, we actually hunt them. Every family on the reservation is entitled to hunt one or two horses from the wild herds that exist a year. And I said, well, how do you get them? So, well, we capture them, we go hunting for them, and we do this in December, in winter when there's snow on the ground. I said, God, I would really love to see it. They said, well, why don't you come? I told them, look, don't tell me why don't you come, because if you invite me, I will be there. And sure enough, 6 months later, I did go. And it was an absolutely wonderful experience to watch how they track the horse, the herd, and how the horses you're on just lay still and quiet and don't move, don't move a single twitch. And then suddenly, and they've sent a tracker to track the herd to have them gallop towards you. And at some point you hear the thundering hooves on the ground, and the horses are now getting excited. And at some point they take off to it's called chasing horses, to go gallop alongside the herd, and with a lasso try to get one or two horses. So here I am with my camera galloping right behind them, trying to capture pictures. And it was a fascinating experience. And sure enough, that day we caught two. They then came, we had a lovely campfire in the snow, in a snow pit. They built a pit in the snow, had a little campfire. And then they took the wild horse, home in a big paddock or corral, where the domesticated horses were. And for me, the intriguing thing the next morning was the interaction between the wild horse that has never been fed food before, has always, grazed, and the domesticated herd. So the interaction to me was fascinating. And that picture there on the right is the wild horse, and the mares and everyone else is coming just to sniff what's going on, getting to know each other. But the interaction was what fascinated me. Lovely experience.
Sure, that is
Sorry
amazing.
for that long story.
No, that's beautiful. That's why we're here to meet you, to listen to you.
Yeah, we need the stories.
We need the stories. Actually, going back to that last photo, the guy out on the left, he's like got a I'm not sure,
Stick.
stick or something with a white thing. What is that?
You can't even take him a selfie, was he?
I think it's a whip, and as you see, they're wearing vests, but
Yeah.
you know, the race takes place. It's only 3 seconds and it's over. You know, it's very short, very short. But the preparation, the night before, the powwow, they all dance, they all get together, they go around you know, the native Indian chanting, and then and it's beautiful. And on the day they paint their horse, and they do all kinds of things, and it's just fascinating. Again, pageantry, full-on pageantry at its best. I loved it.
Yeah.
Going through that water is incredible. That is amazing. That's beautiful. Must be a good feeling to be on that horse going through that water, hey?
Well, the good feeling is when they finish.
All right. So what's it called? Henry, to anyone who loves horses and especially the pageantry involving cavalry, your images to the household cavalry are incredible. How did you manage to get that close to take these images?
Well, again, I got very lucky. I mean, I'm living in London, and here are these horses, and I'm thinking, wow, how do I, you know, I've got to, you know, how do I get in? How do I fit in? You know. So I guess I got very lucky. I absolutely loved it, and so I started writing out a little bit, and you know, I didn't start taking pictures immediately, but it took a bit of time, and then, you know, first you're taking pictures from 20 meters away, and then 2 meters away, and then pretty soon you're completely invisible to everybody. And so I had over 6 years, take hopefully some really good pictures. And then I dreamt to create a book, and I mean, my dream always was one day I'll retire and go away to a tribe and live with them and take pictures and make a book. But then it occurred to me, wait a minute, why should I wait until many years from now? The household cavalry that are right next to Harrods, living in the barracks, are very similar to a tribe. You have to win their trust. It's full of tradition, full of pageantry, and you know, and I can do it on my doorstep. And there we did. That's how it all came up.
Beautiful, yeah.
That is amazing. Sorry, I forgot about our people. That's our guest who is also joining in, and you guys are asking questions. And you know, we're so fascinated with the photos that sometimes I forget to look at the questions. There was a question from Pat earlier on, and Pat, I think that was probably we left off in India or somewhere. I can't remember, Pat, but it was, what lens are you using, Pat? If you can, I don't know if you can unmute yourself, and just which photo were you referring to? Pat?
Oh, yes, it was India.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, was it India? Hi, Pat. Lovely background. Sorry, can you just, because I'm sorry, I'm going to skip back and just go back to the questions. I almost forgot that we have guests. My apologies. Henry, for the lenses that you used for India and then obviously cavalry, can you tell us which lenses you are using?
Well, as a rule, I don't want to be a slave to my equipment. The equipment has to work for me, and I don't want to think about it. I just want to think about the moment and taking the picture. So depending on exactly which format and where, it's either and I stuck to pretty much 2 or 3 lenses. The 80 to 200 millimeter was my telephoto, or 35 to 70, which was mostly the one I used most. But that's it. And these pictures were all taken on transparency film. If you go to that other picture, the one on the Serpentine, this one here, this picture would have been you know, it's very rare to get the right light. I took it in October. It's a rehearsal for the state opening of the Parliament, which to me is one of the most beautiful parades of all time in Britain, really. And this picture, the only thing that this could be 300 years ago. The only thing that dates it is the electricity in that lamp. Otherwise, it would have been, it wouldn't have had electricity at the time. But it's the same image from 300 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing. So I want to encourage everyone, if you've got questions, I know we've got a lot of photographers and horsey people on the show. So please, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat room now. So if you've got your questions for Henry, please let me know. So just once again, I apologize that I forgot to yes, we saw it to the pictures. These are amazing. Yeah. And others of, okay, this second. Oh, so tell us about this. You are, these are different portraits that you can explain to us now. And tell us about how you became the Queen's photographer, or her equine photographer. Tell us a little bit more about her. And yes, we are all dying to know. We've got a few people here that are very fascinated with royals.
Well, I mean, to begin with, I'm not the Queen's photographer. I'm one of millions. Except once in a while, I get very lucky and very honored to be asked to come and take a particular type of picture. Most of them have always been around the horse, so I guess that's been the common bond. And it's been a real honor and a real treat. So the picture on the top was one of my earliest portraits or pictures I did. This was for the Golden Jubilee, shot in 2002. And the one on the right was done for Her Majesty's 90th birthday, on the eve of her 90th birthday. And if you look closely, you'll see the yellow daffodils match the yellow in her dress, and you know, it's just the way it worked. But the interesting story is, how do you get these horses to look good, look the right way, and have their ears perked? So just so you know, there's somebody behind me jumping up and down to capture the interest of the horse, and of course it made the Queen laugh as well. So
it's almost like taking pictures of babies, you know, you have to jump and
well, he was practically doing jumping jacks.
Yeah. So listen, this is one of my favorite stories, you know, because I'm a big fan of this magazine. So the Horse and Hound, you didn't specifically take this picture for this magazine though. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, actually, this picture was taken a long time ago on a horse called Sanction, and never did anything with it. And you know, it just was a lovely image, lovely. It's a personal picture. This was never meant to do anything other than just, you know, take it for Her Majesty. I then got a call in June that they're doing a special feature on the favorite horses of the Queen, and it's been approved by the Queen, and so they asked me to use this particular this horse, if I had this particular horse. So that's how this came up. It is one of her favorite riding horses. It's called Sanction, and the article itself included a few other favorite horses in the world of horse racing and other ponies and other stuff, but this was one of the best, one of her favorite. And I'm lucky that they used it as a front cover.
That is amazing. And then this picture has also got an interesting story behind it.
Well, one day I was very honored to get a call to come and do some official portraits, but the scene had to use a painting of some significance, and it had to be done inside Buckingham Palace. And it's an official portrait for the Household Cavalry. As you could see, it's the lifeguards she's wearing a lifeguard
Nice.
cloak. And I thought, well, I thought to myself, so one day I go and I had to do a recce to choose the right painting in the right room, and we finally chose it. And I thought to myself, I'm very comfortable taking pictures where there's 100 horses galloping right towards you, and you're in the middle of it. But to go and do a staged picture with a painting in the back, for me, was quite daunting. I was, technically. So, but still, you have to compose. So I played around a little bit, and in this case, I had the picture of George VI, where his eyes in the painting is looking up to the Queen, and so there's a line, there's a pattern, there's a nice flow of line, of vision. So we then marked it on the ground with tape, everything. So when Her Majesty would come, she just stands there. I take the picture and it's done. So there's no faffing around. So that's how it is. We just getting the right line in visual was my challenge.
We've got a question here before we continue. Let's have a look. It says, Claire Cole says, I'm now a digital photographer. As a fellow traveler, as with horses, I would have missed some very special moments. Have you ventured into the digital world? Henry?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't. It's just changed. It's just changed. I really preferred using film, transparency, 36 pictures per roll. You had to think, you had to compose your picture and pray to get lucky. And you don't know that until you actually process the film.
Okay.
With digital, and then, I mean, it's just the spirit of the whole experience of looking at your pictures, looking at the whole thing has changed. There isn't much spirit in digital to me, but of course you don't have to worry. You can take as many pictures as you want, and it's just changed.
Yeah.
And you have to adapt. You have to adapt. So all these pictures you're seeing, almost all of them have been taken on film.
Okay, and then I've got a question from Johan Veldsman from fellow Namibian. Hi Henry, any advice on exposure metering for horses of different colors? I sometimes find it challenging to get exposure correct, especially in events. Do you at all use modern cameras, and if yes, what is currently in your bag? That's a good question.
I've got a Leica. I've got. I've always been a Canon user. I like the Mark IV or Mark III 5D and Mark IV, which I use. And to be honest with you, since I have had a newborn 2 years ago, by the time you take your, I've started using a lot mobile phone, because by the time you get your big camera out, you've lost the smile, the moment of your little baby toddler. So mobile phones have done well in taking particular snapshots, and there's a room for them, there's a role for them, but nothing like a real proper camera that you can actually compose.
Sure. And in terms of this, in terms of what is Johan's question, in terms of exposure metering for horses of different colors, any advice you've got for him there?
Well, I mean, just really, I can't give advice. You have to predicate upon the image and the light at the time, the colors. I wouldn't worry about exposure of the camera. I look more for the light from nature and the sunlight, and how it's caressing the subject, the landscape, whatever it is. And then just use your best judgment and technical ability on your particular camera, on the exposure, on the speed, whether you want to do it, with 1/20th or 1/40th if you want to capture some action. It all depends on what you're trying to compose as an artist, as a photographer.
Okay.
That probably doesn't answer your question, but be creative. Don't be afraid.
What do you say, Johan? Does it answer your question? Johan? He's probably looking for the unmute button now in a panic.
Yeah, yeah.
Unmute button. No, I think it helps. Thank you very much, especially this side of just being creative and go for it.
Yeah. Where are you, Johan? It doesn't look like Namibia. It should be dark.
It is dark.
Oh, okay. No, it looks like you're sitting in the sun.
I'm just well lit from the front.
Oh, fantastic. Is it nice and cold?
It is a little bit chilly, yes.
All right. And Henry, you are also a writer. Although you said to me, Michelle, take off the writer. I'm not a writer. You're being too modest. Of course, you're a writer. If you write 10 books, I think you can call yourself a writer. And I know Janine had a question for you about one of your books.
I'm just going to quickly jump in here for Janine. Just looking at this image here, Henry, and thinking about some of your images before with those guys sort of charging straight down at you, and your equipment. I mean, this particular image is quite amazing. I mean, this was done in film when you had film photography, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This the horse warriors,
Yeah.
of Oman and in the Indians.
Yes, awesome.
So would you have had a tripod set up, or you were just shooting off the hand? And one of the photographs, you were there with the horse. You were riding on the horse, but I think being on the ground with all those guys charging towards you is pretty amazing. I mean, would you just be shooting off the hand, or you'd had a tripod, you had it set up, and these guys knew their lines, they'd come around you? I mean, like, yeah, what were you doing?
No tripod. As I said, I long ago, I did not want to be a slave to equipment. I wanted to capture the moment.
Yeah.
So these are not shot on tripod. The difficulty here was to get them to get going, you know, at the right time with the sun coming up, because the sun is right only for a few minutes or a few seconds. And the beauty of this picture is the way the sun has lit underneath the legs of the horses.
Yeah, but it's sharp. It is low light, but it's sharp. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah.
Thank you.
You can see a lot of detail in there.
Yeah.
And that image. I mean, were you just lying on the ground?
No, here's another good story. Again, I thought of making a picture like this. Again, this is in India, the 61st Cavalry.
Okay.
Get the message across, to get all the horses together in a circle, and me on the ground, and having the lances all pointing in the right direction. Well, to begin with, I had all the horses kind of lined up without me on the ground, where I needed a flash. So I knew that if I suddenly throw a flash when I'm there, they'll jump up and trample me. So
for sure, yeah.
I had them all lined up a little bit, and I threw the flash 10, 15 times in their eyes, in their face, so they're not surprised. And then we got into this huddle, and me on the ground. The hardest part then was trying to get the guys to make sure that their lances are pointing exactly in one spot.
Yeah,
that was a challenge.
That's a good, but to be in that, I mean, yeah, that's quite. You know, you'd think you'd almost get something goes wrong, a horse books or something. Those horses are obviously amazing, because yeah, you could have easily got trampled on, hey?
Yeah.
I mean, they must be so conditioned.
Yeah.
I must also say, to go back to that picture, because it's quite it reminds me of a family, you know, one is smiling and there's always one pulling a funny face. So you must have really enjoyed taking this picture. It is really incredible. I think I might borrow this for a family photo. Well, we've got buttons from Namibia saying, well, you got a smile from the top one and a kiss from the bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
This is amazing. So, tell us a little bit about your book, your Horse Warriors book.
Well, every time I went to India quite a few times over a few years. And every time I go there, I'll try to venture out a little bit to experience more of India. One of the things on the previous picture was they have a horse market in Nagaur, where everyone brings their camels and their horses over 3 days and they trade them. And it just was a scene of like could have been 1,000 years ago. Just such a wonderful experience from just to be walking at dawn amongst all these traders with their horses and as they're waking up. It was fascinating. And then the next slide, the next page, I came across the Nihang warriors. The Nihang warriors are a nomadic tribe, again, very full of pageantry. They're a sect of Sikh, very religious, and they're warriors. They carry their sword wherever they go, and they're fantastic horsemen. And they have these festivals where they all gather, and they part of their thing is they perform pageantry with their horses, their swords, and it's a sacrilegious ceremony. And Nihang is their name, but it's a Persian word for shark or for whales. So
Okay.
a lot of that influence.
Wow.
Interesting. Why Wales?
I don't know. Chinese hot.
Good answer.
Be quite a long way away from the coast, surely. So.
Yeah.
So James, you had some questions with regards to Henry's photography in Africa.
Yes. So.
We've been there with you guys, hey? You've been riding with them and some.
Not yet. He was meant to be. Meant to
yes.
be. But
Okay.
then,
Okay. That's great.
he's still coming. He's
Forward.
hasn't cancelled.
Soon.
Postponed.
Postponed.
Yeah. No. So Henry, Africa is known for its very, very special light, luminescence, very amazing photographic sort of quality, and so yeah, you must really be looking forward to getting back to Africa and certainly getting back on a horse in Africa and riding and getting some amazing photography and using that light. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, you'll be coming soon.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, Africa to me always conjures up a spirit of great adventure, and it stirs my heart. And as much, I just love spending time in Africa. And when you tell me about Hwangi and Victoria Falls and Okavango Delta and all these places. Look, it's a patchwork. I got to make a lot more trips and spend a lot more time, but it really excites me to come out and just experience the countries, the culture, the nature, everything.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'd never heard about horseback safaris before.
Okay.
I'm going back over 20 years, and one day some friends came from Colorado and they told me they'd just come back from a horse safari in Africa. And I said, yeah, tell me about it. How does that work? They said, yeah, I mean, and they just told me a story that they had experienced. And they said, look, can you imagine, being on a horse, going next to, galloping with the giraffes, galloping next to the zebra, galloping next to the buffalo, because they don't care about the horses. You can actually get close and you're going along the same speed. And that conjured me such an excitement that I said, wow, I have got to experience that. So,
yeah.
So Henry, so if you're on a horse, and there's one of these situations here with an elephant herd or a bull elephant in front of you there. I know you're not a slave to your equipment, but what would you carry? You obviously can't carry a lot of kit on the horse. So what camera body and what lens or what
Well,
two
again,
lens
the
would you
same thing.
wish to carry?
Something as simple. You got to keep it simple.
Yeah.
You have to keep it simple. You don't want to faff around. You want to keep it, as I said, you don't want to, I don't want to be a slave to equipment. You have to be disciplined to say, right, this is what I'm using. And, you know, I'm going to take it. By the way, the picture, the picture before where you're right in front of an elephant that's about charging you. Wow. That's a scary picture.
No, that also has a story.
That also,
Yeah, no, well, this mare, in particular, Janine can talk to you about the mare, but this, there was two bulls young bulls who were playing in a pan in a waterhole in Wangi, and the horses, yeah, well, the elephants had never seen horses, but they were just remarkably calm and relaxed with us. They couldn't smell us. Eventually, those particular bulls walked within about 30 feet of my mare and I. Completely unfazed. It was amazing, an incredible experience. Yeah, but Janine can tell you about that particular mare. She was fantastic with the elephants.
very, very, in my personal opinion, unbiased, the best safari mare in Africa. She was so brave, and nothing fazed her. She could track lines. She and put her nose to the ground, and she could track. She would tell you if there was a lion there. She would start doing, we call it the impala snort, but like and that was like, there is something around here. You need to be aware of,
Wow.
of that. Or stamping her foot, that she wasn't comfortable with something, and sure enough, there would be something that you needed to look for was in close proximity.
She was Maddie online, wasn't she?
Yeah, she came from a great line of thoroughbreds in Zimbabwe, and she one of the best horses we've ever had the pleasure of owning, and we have a few of her descendants.
Yeah.
She just had an innate. You know, you talk about your horses that go on safari with dangerous game. Of course, you know, for them they want to run. You know, horses, they want to run away.
Yes.
So for them it's a whole thing of conditioning your horses to game, that if they trust you, then it's a big thing when you're going up into approaching elephants or there's lions, or, you know, if they trust you and you've got trust in them, then
works well.
It works well. Yeah.
You'll come and experience that sometime.
This is incredible, James and Janine. I mean, how close do you guys get to the elephants? This is really unbelievable photos.
Yeah, well, in Wangi, like in the open, if you look at the one bottom left photo there, you know, there's very open areas there. The horses are relaxed. They can see the elephant can see you. They as long as they can't smell you, you're not giving a wind to them. They just see you as another animal, and you can ride amazingly close, safely. You know, in particular, like if you've got the water hole between you and the elephants, they're drinking, they're relaxed, the horses are relaxed. You can get to within, you know, 10, 20 meters of bulls. The cow herds, you're not going to get so close because they've got babies, but it's an amazing experience. And the horses quite quickly get used to those animals, and they get relaxed with the elephants. Yeah.
And it's all about trust. We don't want the horses to be in a situation where they feel threatened, where they're getting charged or mock charged by animals, because then they get uptight and they don't want to go and approach those. They don't want to be put in that dangerous situation. So we never try to put our horses in that situation.
Never push it.
Intentionally.
No. Of course, yes. And I think
Very
also
natural.
being on the back of an animal, it's different than to being in a vehicle, you know. So the animals are obviously comfortable. Makes a huge difference.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
even like
must,
in that photo there of riding
yeah.
with a giraffe, I mean, you can get right amongst giraffe, and that's quite incredible because these huge, tall animals above you, and you're on a horseback. It's awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
That's,
And then of course the light for the photography,
yeah.
winning combination.
Yeah, well, we've got lots of photographers listening in, and I'm part of our guests this evening. So I'm sure you're going to get a lot of new clients, and we will also be sharing your information on our Facebook page. You know, for anyone who wants to know for next year what you guys are up to. The same for Namibia. You know, in the beginning, what I was trying to say when I got so tongue-tied because I got such a fright when we started, and I was letting people in the room. So what I was actually trying to say, what this platform is meant to do is putting people, you know, keeping tourism alive, because people are in a situation where I think everyone is so negative, and by sharing these beautiful stories and experiences, we give a little bit of hope. It's like a feel good share, and introducing each other and connecting Namibia and Africa with the United Kingdom, with Europe, and the rest of the world. So this is a really great opportunity. So thank you very much for that, and congratulations. You've got stunning products. I mean, I'm in love with it, and we've got a few people already said, listen, incredible stories, and they've all got new bucket list checks. So yes, everybody's love it. So quick question. I did ask you this question on the previous one. Do you also cater for beginners, or must they already be intermediate riders?
Because you've got the dangerous wildlife and that you're riding with, and those big areas, a lot of cantering, you've got to be a strong intermediate or
Okay.
experienced rider. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Because you're doing long hours in the saddle. I
Mm.
mean, in some days, some of the safaris, not just with us, but in Namibia also, you're doing many hours in the saddle. So you got to be riding fit and ready
Okay.
for 7, 8 hours perhaps.
Okay.
So yeah, you got to be confident
Okay.
rider, experienced rider. Yes.
Okay, so Madam High Commissioner Linda, you and I, we are going to start with our some classes here in England. All right, then Henry, back to you. Yeah, we're going to come prepared, don't worry. Henry, back to you. So we want to know, you've been to our hometown, you've been to Namibia before, some stunning pictures. Not riding yet, I believe, but Namibia horseback safaris, they do amazing trips, so we're going to definitely invite you back. But tell us a little bit about your trip to Namibia.
Well, I was really inspired to climb this thing called Spitzkopf Spire. I didn't know much about it, saw a few pictures, and in the days that I could do it without responsibility, so I flew down to to Cape Town, and from Cape Town made my way to Windhoek, got a car and drove. Somehow I met up with a climbing partner, and we climbed this lovely mountain, lovely rock face. And it just was stunning because everything around you is absolute flat. And then this kind of spire comes right out. And of course, beautiful, beautiful landscape. I couldn't believe how huge the country was. I tried to make it to Sossusvlei, and I just couldn't believe how long it would take. And then, of course, going to Swakopmund was quite fun to relax and have a beer after the climb. I enjoyed it. It was a good experience. Really loved it. And
well,
it's a beautiful, and the landscape, the trees, it's lovely.
It's a photographer's dream. So we are going to put some photography tours together. And Namibia Horse Safaris, their products will also be available for everybody to see soon for 2021. But you are definitely invited. We want those beautiful pictures to be displayed of Namibia. So the reason we've got the show, is to just the wild horses of Namibia. So we've got a foundation, just some pictures and stuff. so the foundation is just because to get them some food, and the foundation is there for because we had a terrible drought and going on, but we are going to contribute a special show for this wild horses that would like you to be part of. So we are actually going to do it on a different show, but I want everybody in the meantime to go on to on the Facebook page, Namibia Wild Horse Foundation, to read it a little bit more, because we've got a special guest coming in the next weeks to come. If there's, we've got so many thanks to you, wonderful, dearest Henry. Thank you. Cannot wait to return to Africa. So, you've shared with us your life stories, your beautiful, beautiful pictures. You're an amazing person, and thank you so much for also saying and offering that you will contribute or assist us when needed, to make appearances on the show, to help draw attention to the Namibia Wild Horses and the foundation. So we really, really would love to host you in Namibia soon.
And Zimbabwe.
That's such a cute pic. We actually met your little boy yesterday, and and in Zimbabwe and Namibia, but in the whole of Africa, because we've on our previous show we met people from the association, which is from Kenya, Botswana, Mozambique, and as far as Argentina. So yes, we will definitely create opportunity. Helen, if you can stop sharing, that I can see everybody's faces. Just to say thank you. And then from my team and I, thank you to everyone who always support the show, to come to learn more about Namibia, Namibia's products, and then about horse riding safaris. And this is a really great opportunity for us to introduce you to the equine world and celebrities, or equine, sorry, I pronounced it incorrectly, or obviously attract more tourists, but also ideally support this Wild Horse Foundation. So thank you very much. Janine and James, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah.
From Helen, who created the slides for us and putting endless time in.
Yes.
Thank you so
Helen.
much. Really appreciate it. So Henry,
Helen.
yes, we look forward to seeing you. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Please keep an eye on our social media pages, because we've got lovely surprises coming up for the next few weeks, which we can't wait to share with you, but it's a secret yet. So have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much, Henry.
My pleasure. Thank you all. Really appreciate it.
Thank Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you
pleasure.
all.
All right, you guys have a
Thanks,
wonderful
everyone.
evening.
Good
We'll
night.
see you next
Thanks,
week.
everyone.
Thank you.
Linda.
Thanks, everyone. Awesome.
Really fabulous. Thank you.
Thanks,
Go,
Sheila.
Sheila.
This is Varden.
Thank you. That was just amazing.
You're most welcome.
Riding again soon.
Yeah,
We will be,
you better
yes.
be. You better be.
Maggie.
Absolutely.
You better be.
We want to come when we want to come when Henry comes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got a new following, what did I tell you? So we're going to be posting those pictures on our Facebook page. So keep on supporting us. Thank you so much.
So I would like to make one concluding comment. We've written several times with James and Janine, and the riding is absolutely amazing. And sadly, James rides with a very, very little penknife.
I thought you were going to say with a pony there for a second.
Carl, you're banned.
Yeah.
Only maybe Janine has ridden with James as much as I have.
Oh.
And he normally says, he normally doesn't put bullets in his gun because he says those are dangerous.
Very. Far too dangerous.
Well, thank you, Henry.
What is the story of a small penknife?
No.
It's a boy.
I think it's
That's a campfire story. That's a
campfire story.
yeah. Carl, we have to tell you a story about Carl, but it's just sad. Too sad.
Henry, when we're in Wangi and we're there riding together, I'll tell you the story. I'll tell you the real
Okay,
story.
lovely, lovely.
And Carl will tell you the story, and I'll tell you the truth.
There'll be a variant.
Right, lovely guys. Thanks, Henry.
Right.
Thanks,
Please don't
Thanks,
stay.
Michelle.
Okay.
Have a wonderful
Bye. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks,
Gas and wine. Lots of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.